What's up, YouTube? This is Aditya here. Welcome to my channel. So, if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. So, I'm coming live on YouTube for the first time. So, I don't know how I'm gonna figure out. Hey, Sai. So, just bear with me because I just have to figure out a little bit things here. Um, Let me know where are you guys watching this video from. As I said in the title, I'm going to talk about the first house buying process, and it could be the primary house or investment. Hey Sabi, how are you, brother? Thanks for joining. Alberta, awesome. So, I know as a new immigrant to Canada, the biggest thing is like, the fear, especially when it comes to buying the first property or first investment property. Yeah. So, but I'm here to help. I'm here to tell you that it's not freaking scary as you think, because sometimes when you're looking at a new stuff, your brain kind of freak out, and you're kind of tense because you don't know the process. So that's where I want to help you guys. So first of all, if you're like brand new to country, of course figure out the work stuff, how you can make money, figure out the credit score side. How is your credit score, how you gonna um, you know improve your credit if you're like totally brand new, because in Canada credit is everything. If you have credit, you'll get the mortgage. So if you want to buy a house in Canada, obviously, thank you. So if you want to buy a house in Canada, obviously you need to have a good credit score. um, and if you have a good credit score, you'll get good interest rates, and you'll get high, um, basically higher mortgage. So again, it's always good to build the credit score. So you have to sell house in few years. Oh, of course, brother. I'm down for it. Anytime, selling or buying or investing. Especially if it's your house in GTA. If it's a nice, beautiful house, I'm definitely down to come down and make a beautiful video out of it and get the best price in that area. So a little distraction there, but yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions while I'm explaining the process. You just bought 1 year ago. Awesome, congratulations. um, just let that mortgage pay down, let that appreciation happen, just sit on it for a while. When you're ready, we'll talk. So, the first of all, if you should not fear about first purchase, then you need to understand what are the advantages of buying a house or investing in a rental property. So first of all, when you're renting a house, you're just literally taking your money from your pocket and throwing out of the window. It's good temporary purpose, like if you're moving constantly, if you don't have any credit, if you don't have an income source figured out yet, it's good rent out. But once you have these things figured out, once you have established a good credit score, once you established once you have a income source, like job or self-employment, business or anything, you're in a space, in a city constantly, then this is the time where you have to start looking for purchasing a house, because you want to make sure you have you're not wasting your rent that you're paying for someone else, rather build your own savings by buying your own property. So you got to understand that advantage, because real estate, the very, very awesome thing about real estate is you have three major advantages. One, you can leverage your money. First of all, like, you can buy a 200,000 property with 10,000, because bank is going to give you 95% mortgage. Um, and also, like, second thing is, now you're paying down that mortgage over the time, which means instead of throwing your money out of the window, you're just paying for your own mortgage. And third thing is, over the period, the prices will appreciate. Not crazy as now, but over the period of time, 10 years or 20 years, you will see at least 3 to 4% appreciation, which is crazy if you think it in a simple terms. If you buy a 100,000 house, if it appreciates 3%, that means every year it's making 3,000, but your initial investment was only 5% or 10% or 20% of the purchase price, which means for 100,000 it's only like 5,000 or 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000. So which you will be your property will be appreciating like literally almost 100% within 2 years if you put 5% down for the same property. So you got to think in that way, like your investment is increasing over the time. So if you're just paying the rent for someone else, then someone else is getting that benefit. You're not taking that benefit for yourself. So you just keep that benefits in mind, so that your stress levels comes little down. And now, first, if you have established your credit score, get a pre-approval. That's your first step, because in right now, at least in Windsor, in Ontario, most of the cities, it's a seller's market. What it means, there are more number of buyers than sellers. So which means there is a lot of demand for properties. So if you're looking at a property, if you like it, it's possible that few other, like 5 or 6 other people like the same property. So now there is a bidding war. So you got to be prepared in order to get that property. So that's where the pre-approval comes in very handy. Get a clear picture on how much bank is willing to give you. That's a really step number one. Step number two, you gotta make sure you have down payment. So of course, if when you're going for pre-approval, the bank or any mortgage agent will ask you about how much money you have. So I'm going to look into the questions in a second, but now you got to figure out your down payment side. Not only just the down payment, also look into at least 3 to 6 months of your mortgage payment and expenses. Make sure you have some savings set aside, or you have a income or line of credits that you can use just in case, for any emergencies in the first few months after you purchase. So that's really step number 2. And step number 3, I'm gonna get to the questions in a second. Looks like I'm getting some great questions here. Step number 3, have someone who can help you with the process, especially when you're new, you don't know so many things. So the first person, like in any city that you're looking to buy or invest, look for a real estate agent who is really established and who understand the market well, who is really looking for your interest, rather than someone like just randomly calling you by looking at your seeing that you're searching properties online. Don't look for someone like that. Rather look for someone who is established, who are like has good reputation. Get some referrals from online, or get some Google reviews, see who is doing very well, and get their help, because now they can set up property search for you. They can set up, they can share about specific neighborhoods in the area and all those details, and they will be able to help you the rest of the process, because from there it's more like you got to look at the properties, you got to make offers, you got to inspect the property, and then you have to close it, where lawyers come into picture. So these are the steps where your agent can help you solidly, especially when you're new. So let me jump into the chat here. As I said, guys, I'm on live for the first time, so just bear with me in a minute here. I'm just trying to find where the chats are. Okay, here you go. So our household gross income is 180K, and my wife has contract job till May 2021. We are looking to buy a house. Can we qualify? So good question, Saeed. If you've been in Canada for 7 years, that means I assume you have good credit score. And so if you have that solid income, most likely you do, especially if the contract job is till 2021. So I would definitely recommend talk to a mortgage broker or a mortgage agent or a bank, because they will be able to give you 100% answer, because not only just the income, your credit score, your status, and your income to debt ratio, like how much income you're making, also how much expenses you're spending, like your car payment, your other line of credit payments, and all those things also matters. So I would recommend check with a mortgage broker, because he can look into your finances very detailedly. That's what I was telling you just a minute ago. Get a pre-approval. How can you get that pre-approval? Go talk to a bank or a mortgage broker. What do you think about Chatham market? Interesting. So to be honest with you guys, I haven't invested in Chatham, but I know some of the investors who are been investing in Chatham for a while, who have done very well, just like Windsor. But honestly, I would say I would pass on, because I don't know much about Chatham. How many maximum rental properties can I buy with a mortgage? Good question, Matt. So definitely you can buy unlimited number of properties. I know it sounds iffy, but that's true. You can really buy any number of properties if you structure it right from the beginning. So what I mean by that, let me break it down. So if your first property, if it's making cash flow, like your income that you're getting from the rental property offsets your expenses, then potentially your income to debt ratio doesn't go down. That means you will requalify again, either for the same amount or more, if your income from the property is higher than your expenses. That means if your property is making cash flow. That's why it's really crucial to buy properties that makes cash flow, especially when it comes to investment. So really, if you're buying right cash flow properties, you can buy any number of properties. I know many people say that some banks will stop you after 6, some lenders will stop you after 8, but trust me, for example, I'm getting most of my mortgages right now with RBC and CABC. If RBC and CABC tells me that no, I will try to get the maximum units with them, and then I will go for next lenders. So there are many lenders out there who are willing to lend you if your income to debt ratio makes sense. So that's where you need to have a proper income to debt ratio. So the next question is, hey Imran, I'm doing great, thank you. I just moved to Windsor last week after watching your vlogs. I have a basic question. Can I buy home with SIN starting with 9? My PR is in progress. Okay, so definitely yes, because I bought my first property when I had my SIN number 9, starts with 9, when I was on work permit. So yes, 100% yes, but your profile does matter. So if you can show that your PR is in progress, and if you have a work history at least 1 year or so, there are some lenders. Go talk to a mortgage broker who understands, who works with immigrants like us, because First National is one of my first lender who lent me when I was on work permit. So better talk to a mortgage broker. But yes, answer to your question, yes. So, as you know, we are Indians want to get into new homes if possible. Is it good to go with new homes or second hand homes? Um, I know, brother, I know, because we were brought up like that. We never really was brought up to use used stuff. But here's the thing, it really personal decision, personal opinion, personal way of looking at things. If you don't mind spending money on a decent amount of price, because new construction is always high price, but also a big thing is it comes with a peace of mind. So if you're buying a nice single family home that is like 500,000 for a new construction, probably you can get the same property for 300, 350 if it's a resale 5 years or 10 years, again depending on. So basically I would ask personal question. First of all, does the expenses for that property, am I in a position to handle that expenses? So I would try not to over leverage myself. What I mean by that is, like, if you're making, you and your wife together making per month 10,000, if your property is eating up the mortgage and the expenses eating up more than 5 6,000, then now you got to think about yourself, like, what if one of you knock the wood, that won't happen, but if one of you lost the job, then it's kind of puts you in a really tough position, right? So just look at your financials and look at your personal interest too, because sometimes it's your primary home. You got to like it, you got to live there. So I would say you guys have to make decision on that. But if you ask me which is good or bad, only good thing about new construction is you don't have to worry about any major expenditures like roof, furnace, AC, all those things for next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, because most of the things will stop breaking after 15 years. So if you're buying like a 20 years old property, it's still probably, if you change roof, furnace and AC, all those major ticket items, then you're good for another 50 years, because generally the properties here, if you maintain it well, they go for 80, 90, 100 years. Except my primary home, all my homes are old homes. Even the primary one is 45 years old. So rest everyone is like 80, 90 years old. I still made a good solid money on those properties even though they are old. So for making money, old or new doesn't make any difference. It's pretty much buying the right property. But for personal use, you gotta feel it. So that's my take on used or old one. Can I still buy duplex rental property in South Windsor near St. Clair College or University of Windsor for 250 to 300? So South Windsor, first of all, doesn't have that many duplexes, because South Windsor is more like single family homes. Maybe potentially you can buy a single family home, but under 300 is you gotta be very lucky, very lucky. Now average price point in South Windsor is close to 400,000, so that means 300 is like not getting anywhere. Maybe if you're in 360s, 350s, 380s, you can get some properties that need a little bit of work. Maybe you can finish the basement, you can either make a legal suite or non-conforming, something like that is possible. Duplexes doesn't come often in that area. Detroit or Windsor, which has the best cash flows? Khan, that's an interesting question. Detroit or Windsor? First of all, I haven't invested in Detroit. I have a friend who invests in Detroit, so he does just flipping. He doesn't even hold the properties, because I think it's being in Canada, maintaining kind of is difficult, and also there the rules and everything are different. So for me, because I have all my credit and everything in Canada, I would stick to Canada. But if you're a US resident, you can qualify for mortgage, you have connections, then you can, Detroit also have good opportunities. For now, for Ontario, Windsor is the best place. Sending you hello and good wishes, Aditya. Thank you, Neil. Thank you so much. Any good mortgage broker, Matt? Yes, I do have a couple of recommendations for sure. If you're looking for a broker, Scott Dellingham, Lend City Mortgage, he's a very good broker. Scope of architects. Scope of architects. What do you mean by scope of architects, brother? You mean, sorry, maybe you have to elaborate the question. Uh, Harpreet Singh. Hey Harpreet, I'm doing fantastic. How are you? How to figure out that in which city should I start my real estate investing journey if someone is flexible to anywhere in even in Canada? Okay, good question. I know many people ask me the same question. So first of all, you gotta look at what's your what you're trying to achieve, what's your investment goals, and where are you living currently. If you're living in a city where you have a good solid low vacancy rates where rentals have demand, and you can make some cash flow properties, you can buy some cash flow properties, then look at the city where you're living, because it's always good to be close to the property. But if you cannot find properties that can cash flow in your area, around your area, of course Windsor is the best place. But again, try to look for something that is close to you. If that is not possible, then look for cities like Windsor, which are first of all growing very, very rapidly, and at the same time also have potential to make cash flow. Even if you buy a single family or multifamily, in Windsor still you have opportunities to make cash flow, because cash flow is one of the really important element, because your property should not depend on your income, it has to depend on property's own income. So what that means in simple words, income that you get from the property, the rental income, should offset your expenses. That's what my basic requirement. If it does, no matter where you buy, doesn't make it, it still will be a good investment opportunity. Is it more cheaper if you consider constructing your own home? The reason why I'm asking, because we want to have new home on our own custom space. So especially if you're like really new to Canada, if you don't have connections, building your own house does cost you good solid money. But if you have good connections, if you know a solid builder or someone who can build you for economical prices, or maybe if there is a solid reputable builder in your area who just recently opened a subdivision where they're selling the lots, but they also custom build the designs according to your needs, yeah, of course you can do that. That's one cool thing with new constructions is you can design, like you can modify things as per your interest. So yeah, definitely it's possible, but I would not say it's cheaper, because new construction is not cheaper comparative to resale homes. Do you consider market price would come down in 2020? Andres, that's a great question. I love that. Because it's really tough to say. It's really tough to say, because actually right now the prices should not be going up, because many people lost their job. I don't know why. Maybe because rates are low, maybe people have saved money or buying. So still right now there are a lot of buyers. So at this point it's really challenging to say, because at this point it should have been the prices should have come down. But maybe once the Canadian government stopped giving that $2,000 every month for people who lost their jobs, and the EI insurance, like unemployment insurance, if those things stop from coming, and if people still cannot find jobs, that's when we can start see some foreclosures, because people cannot afford paying the rents. And if the people cannot afford paying the rents or mortgage, now they have to they have to default or foreclosure. So that's when more properties will come on the market and the buyers will be less. So but I don't see that is happening, because now we are in Windsor, we just opened for phase 3. So that means slowly businesses are opening up, and if people go back to work, because economy was super strong before COVID, if it continues to happen, then pretty much we will go back to normal, and the market continues to go in a same direction how it is right now. Once the airports open and once the international people start coming again it goes back to normal. But if if the COVID situation kind of changes again, or if the cases increases, if the job loss become permanent, if the Canada government stop giving money in next few months, then the chances are there for properties to come down, prices to come down. Can I still buy my first house with 5% down? I heard since July 1st now must be. Good question. So CMHC has kind of put so many limitations on 5% down, but the other insurance companies, Genworth, and there is a couple of other insurance companies who still haven't changed any rules. So that means you can still get 5% down. So go talk to a mortgage broker. Definitely you can still buy for 5% down. How important location while purchasing the first home? Great questions. It really depends on your financial situation, but I would personally recommend buy it in a good location or upcoming location, because if it's upcoming location, if you ask your local realtor or anyone whom you have in connections in real estate, see which areas are growing, which areas have a good potential to improve, to get better over the period. Those are the best locations to buy, because now you can bank on that appreciation of the improvement. So always location does matter, but again sometimes if you don't have enough funds to buy a property in a good location, like when I was buying my first property, I didn't had enough money like down payment to buy a house in a good location. So what I did, I purchased in a location where it's slowly coming up. It's still not the greatest location, but I did, and I still made money on my first property. So even not buying it and waiting for years costs you money. So time is your friend. If you just buy and sit on it, is way better than looking for a perfect property. Why is it difficult to rent a house in Ottawa if I live in New Brunswick? That's an interesting question. I don't know, brother. You have to figure out if make sure you hire the right property management company who can do the leasing properly for you. Sir, I just want to do architect, make more money than real estate developers. Okay, so again, you can make more money in any industry. It really depends on you. So I was in IT. I was software developer. I know many software developers make a solid money, but I quit because that was not my thing. I was not really improving myself in their industry. I was doing okay, but I was not like the best one. So that's why I switched my career from IT to real estate agent, because I knew my personality. I can definitely make better. So immediately my income shoot up. Like literally in last 18 months, I made 5 times of my salary. So if I would have stayed in the same job, I would be making the same money. What made the difference? Me, my skills. So what I would say, your skills, what you're good at, what matters. It's not about money. If you're really good at any industry that you're in, if you have the right personality for it, if you work hard for it, you can make money in any industry. So if you have enough money, do you recommend putting 20% down on first property or 5% down, or put other 15% towards property too? So great question, held thread. So I really love that question, because again, you got to look at from your personal point of view. I'll tell you what I would do if I am buying my first property, right? So I would definitely go for 5% down, because I know myself. I will save enough money. I will not over leverage because I'm getting 95% mortgage. Then I would not go buy like $500,000 property or 800,000, 900,000 property, even if I cannot afford. So I would first of all leverage in a smart way and buy with 5% down, because the rest of the money, if I have any extra money, I can leverage and buy another rental property. Because when you leverage, a simple funda. If you can buy one property, let's say you buy 100,000 property that appreciated 5% in 1 year. Instead of buying one property, you buy two properties, 100,000, 100,000. Now both the properties appreciate 5%. So 100,000 became 105, 100,000 became 105. That means you made 10,000 appreciation on your property. So if you bought this property for 5% down, or if you would have purchased this whole property with 20% down instead of buying the second property, you would have made only 5,000 with your $20,000. If because you now leverage the money into two properties, you made 10,000. So, and along with that, you're paying down mortgage on both the properties. You have two rental incomes if you are buying two properties. So from my opinion, I personally buy two properties, but at the same time, I know myself, because I will not over leverage. I will always have some savings even if some situation comes up. So just make sure you're not over leveraging, but always try to utilize the money where you can get better returns. So if you're buying just one property, you are not getting better returns if you're buying two properties comparative to buying two properties. Okay. So my friend Julian and Connor are in relationship and they are looking for the first house. They are 18 years old and want to move into New York City. What is your suggestion? Oh wow. That's a personal question, David. If they're moving to New York City, obviously I cannot make any comments on that part. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their interests are, what they would like to do in the life. I don't know where they're standing. So many questions I need to know before give any suggestions, right? So sorry. Apart from down payment, how much extra cash on an average we need to keep in hand? Oh, good question, Sai. So cool thing, if it's your first property, good thing is you get up to 500,000 worth of property, you get land transfer rebate. So that means if you're buying under 500,000, you don't have to pay land transfer, but you do have legal fees, which will be $1,000 ish, and then you will have other disbursements like additional charges for title insurance, other extra stuff, probably like another couple of thousand, like maybe $1,000 or $2,000. So at least you need 3,000 to 5,000. Again, depending on the price of your property as well. If your price goes up, so on an average, I would say 1 to 2% of your price, property price, you need to have it. But if it's below 500, if you have 3,000 to 5,000, should be good enough. And also, like, it might change with the province you're in. So just check with your realtor. Hey, what's our realtor? Or there are many websites actually which tells you how much is your land transfer tax, how much is your legal fee in that area average. The best resource I use is ratehub.ca. They have calculators there. What would you say best neighborhood to buy in Windsor? Andres, so it's a general question because I need to know so many things about what you're looking in, right? So there are so many good neighborhoods in Windsor. Like if you're looking in terms of investment, if you want to make a good cash flow, probably you can buy in Walkerville area or South Walker or South Central. If you're looking for a nice solid single family homes, probably South Windsor is one of the best one. LaSalle is one of the best one. Tecumseh is also a nice one. Forest Glade is also a nice one. East Windsor is also a nice one. Again, there are many neighborhoods definitely are good one. It really depends on what you're looking to do. Like why are you buying? If you're looking for a nice home for you to live in, then it's a different story. So you have to look for what's your highest priority. Like if you need a good schools to be in, then look for the South Windsor neighborhoods like South Windsor. So have to figure out more details. I love this, guys. I love the questions. I love the enthusiasm. Thank you so much. which vacancy rate you believe is good before jump into the market. um, so again, vacancy rate, what I'm referring to is you need to have people who are looking for properties, like looking for renting the places. So if you in your city, if the vacancy rate is too high, that means the properties are sitting vacant. That means you don't have income coming in. So look for at least lower than 5%, or in the worst case scenario 10%, because if you have out of 10 properties, one property is vacant. That's how I look at vacancy rate. So go as low as possible. If the goal for the city which has lowest as low as possible, where you can still make cash flow. You're welcome, Healthred. I've been a landlord for a year now, and I was wondering when is the good time to buy a second property. Um, Hamza, Hamza, good question. So it really depends on if you're ready for, if you have enough savings already, and if your current first property is making cash flow, why to wait? Buy it, because one thing I learned, if you're buying the right cash flowing property, no matter when you're buying, doesn't matter when you're buying. It matters along that over the time you will make money. So don't wait, just buy it. If the market goes down, buy more. That's my funda. Maybe when the market goes down, then now because you have the knowledge, you have the experience, now you can even raise money from your family, from your friends, to have bring the JV partners and buy more, because now you know the market, you know there is a discount coming in for the prices. So that's what my recommendation. Don't wait to buy, always wait and buy. Sorry, buy and wait. Aditya, as a newcomer, my mortgage pre-approval requires 16% at least. Has I also wanted to buy one investment property. Now, how is it possible? I assume second property will require same down payment as I assume. So again, second, it's not about second or first property. Generally, in Canada, you can get, if you want to buy something under 20% down, that means you need to qualify as a CMHC or any other insurance company has to qualify you to give you that extra insurance, so that lenders will give you higher mortgage, which is 85% or 90% or 95%. That means you can put low down. So if you already own a house, you're living in it, now if you go and ask for another property which is technically a rental property, now you're asking for again for 5% down, they don't lend you another 5% down. But if the logic makes sense, for example, if you're living in Toronto, you own a house, you have a CMHC, but now you got a job in Windsor, you are moving to Windsor, now you're renting that place out, now you're asking for another house to pay 5% down. If your income qualifies, then CMHC now they look at your profile. Oh, by common sense, he is genuinely looking to move into the property. So that's when you might qualify. So below 20% down, that's a requirement. If you have 20% down, then you can buy another property anytime, if your income to income debt ratio makes sense. Do we have to hire home inspector, or is something that construction company or seller takes care of? Sai, good question. Always, especially new people like us, must hire an inspector. I personally strongly recommend hire an inspector, because seller always have his own best interest, which is selling that property. He won't tell you everything. Agent, same thing. Even me, I'm an agent. I can tell you some extent. I'm not a construction guy who knows everything. Whereas when you hire an inspector, his job is to look what is bad in your property. So that means that gives you a clear idea what condition your property is in. Sometimes it will help you, not sometimes, all the time it will help you either first make a decision whether to buy that property or not based on how bad or how good the property is. Second, you can plan certain things. Third thing, you learn so many things, especially like I learned so much stuff by going with the inspector to the property, because I will always ask him bunch of the questions. Like I used to ask stupid questions. Why the water is seeping from there, or why the drywall has a little buzz, where it came from. So many stupid questions. But when you're asking the inspector, because you hired him to tell you what's wrong with the property, so strongly recommended to hire an inspector. Do you see the real estate market in Southern Ontario in next, how do you see Southern Ontario in next 5 years? Good question, Vector. Man, it's an interesting one. It's really hard to predict, but I can say about Windsor. I feel Windsor can be in a good position in next 5 years, because I see so many things happening in Windsor. Lot of immigrants moving in, lot of students coming in, except COVID time. I know, don't throw me questions saying that, oh, it's COVID, students are not coming. Yes, not right now. I'm not talking about current situation, but in general, before COVID, I believe, and also like because of COVID, a lot of people now thinking, especially who are from bigger towns, bigger cities like Toronto, Vancouver. I met so many clients in recent times, like, oh, now my job, they're allowing me to work from home for next 1 year, 2 years. Now, why do I have to pay so much rents there, which say with the same rents, now I can buy a property in cities like Windsor. So cities like Windsor, I feel will grow in next 5 years. And on top of that, Detroit is beside us. So that is also a solid asset for Windsor, because for happenings, people who love to have happenings, they can go to Detroit. And also job, people who are citizens in Canada, they don't need the H1. All they need to apply for a company. If the company offers a job letter, they go for interview at the border for TN visa. Boom. So there are like at least 7,000 plus people who are crossing the border every day for work. Not now, before COVID. So I see a bright future. Any new construction townhomes in Windsor under? Yes, definitely there are new construction townhomes close to 400 or under 400. If you want under 400, there are some areas like Hammersburg. Reach out to me, DM me on Instagram or Facebook. Maybe I can hook you up with more details. Do you hunt properties with one Harpreet Singh, I love the question, man. So many people ask me that question. First of all, if you're investing, forget about 1% rule. There is so much noise about 1% rule. I think I'm going to make a video on this one pretty soon. I'm going to post this video as well. So I don't believe in 1% rule. 1% rule is freaking just a ball, like just a kind of a, what do you call, I can tell a word in my language, but it's kind of hard to tell me in English. It's just a symbol. It's just to show like if it can make sense or not. But so many things goes into it. I would look for, especially if it's a smaller property like single family, duplex or triplex or fourplex, forget about 1% rule. Look at what's your current property condition, how much income does it make, how much expenses does it have, like what are the expenses. If the property makes good cash flow, like income minus all the expenses equals to cash flow. If your property makes good cash flow, then keep it. So what's 1%? Then basically like 1% is, if you have a property, the value is 300,000. Now you expect the income to be 3,000. So that is like 1% of income of the property is 1% of the purchase price. That's not a real scale that if you are looking for just 1% rule, you will never ever end up buying a property. If I was just looking for 1% rule, man, I would have stayed there where I was 3 years ago. I could not even buy one property, because nowadays 1% rule at the get going is challenging. But instead, if you buy a property that needs some work, do some improvements, then maybe you might be able to aim to get it. but rather still I would aim for good cash flow rather than looking for that stupid 1%. Because what if you have 1% rule but stupid expenses are so high? What do? There is no cash flow. So look at the cash flow. How much is the income? How much is the expenses? What's the money left? That's what I look for, at least. Yes, I will, Matt. I will definitely do post this video. Between 16% minimum has a newcomer, 20%. Which one would you recommend? 4% less down, worth it. If it's only 4%, personally, man, if you have money, I would go for 20% down, because why do you wanna have that CMHC now? If you wanna refinance or sell again, you have to pay some penalty on top of it. So rather just go for a 20% down. How long do you need to work at new job before you use the job towards getting mortgage? Good question, health thread. So basically it really depends on your personal profile, because if you're in the same industry for a while, some lenders give you an exception even if you're new to the job, if you don't have a probation period. So it really depends on what's your credit score, how long you've been working in the industry, so and also like what's your status in Canada. So better talk to a mortgage broker. There are chances even if you're new to the job. How long do you think prices going to behave the way they are being now? Jamie, good question. I don't know how long this price is going to be, because even many bigger experts who are like experts at the economy are unsure what's going to happen with the prices. I'm a simple guy. I'm not that much economist. I don't know much about what's going to happen with the economy. All I know is if I buy a property that has good income, that can offset my expenses, have a little cash flow, I can sit on it. Whatever, even if the price goes up or down, I'll just sit on it. If the price goes up in next 5 years, if I want to, I can sell it. If the price goes down, I'll just sit on it, because at least my mortgage is paying down. By end of 20 years, I'll have free and clear property. So I will try to keep it simple, because I'm not that much economist. So sorry, I wish I had a better answer. That's a genuine answer. We are pre-approved for different prices with different institutions, including Rate Hub. How to finalize how much we are qualified for? Sai, that's a good question, because if you don't talk to too many lenders, go for one broker who has a different lenders. So he might be able to give you, because every lender has a different ratios. Like some lenders will look at X income to debt ratio, some lenders look at Y. So that's why your pre-qualification changes a little bit. But better if you talk to a specific broker who has different lenders. They might be able to tell you, oh, if you go to this lender, you'll get X amount. If you go to this lender, you get Y amount. So you better, depending on your needs, like how much you're looking for, better go for the mortgage broker and ask him, hey, I might need this price. See who will approve me for that price. You're welcome, Victor. Can you talk a little bit about property taxes in Windsor? I mean, what do you want me to talk on taxes? In Windsor, again, even in Windsor, every area is different. The areas that are prime have higher taxes. The areas like Central Windsor, Walkerville, downtown, the taxes are normal. So it really depends on which neighborhood you're buying in. So just check whenever you're buying a property, better look at how much your taxes are, because if the taxes are really high, don't go for it. Look for something that is reasonable price. How London, Ontario for investment? I want to invest in Windsor and move there, but I want to stay close to GTA. That's really personal in interest, and also what's your investment goals. So if London, Ontario makes sense to you, yeah, better invest in London, Ontario. That's also a great place. People make money in every city. As far as I know, GTA, people make crazy money. London, people make money. Windsor, people make money. So, but only thing is, like, every market is different for every people, everyone's goals. So if I was in GTA, I don't know if I would have buy 7 properties, because I cannot afford that. I don't have any banking cash that I can get from my parents or from family. No support. So for me, pretty much everything has to come from my pocket. So I was not making that much money and all those things. So for me, I was like perfect. This city was perfect because I had small startup cost. That is perfect for me to get in. If you have enough solid income and you can put higher down payment to make the cash flow work, yeah, any city makes sense, brother. Hi Aditya, just want to say your videos are really great, educational. Keep up the good work. All the best for your future. Thank you so much, Hardik. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for hopping on the live. Um, Thank you, Aditya. Best wishes to you, Marco, and whole Win City team. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering all our questions. I have one more. When buying second property or third property, do lenders take income and rent as a personal income as well? So again, yes, that's how they do the income debt ratio, because they consider the income from the property, they add to your income. So that way your ratios doesn't go drastically down if you buy the first property and going for the second property. If you have the income coming in from the first property, that will be added to your income, and then they do the calculations. So if you buy the cash flowing properties, you can buy unlimited properties. What is the scope of jobs for photographers and videographers in Canada? Good question. I'm looking for a social media and marketing expert. Anyone is if anyone in the group has skills, DM me a video or your scope of work that you have done, and tell me what your skills are, if you're willing to move down to Windsor. So thanks for reminding. Actually, I know that's not answer to your question, but answer to your question, brother. Videographers and photographers anywhere in the world has demand, depending on your skill set. If you're good at it, yes, you have demand. How much taxes is laid on cash flows? Sorry. Oh, tax questions, Sanket. It's tough, buddy. It really depends on how you structure your deal. If you have the property on your personal name or corporation, if it's on personal name, and how much expenses are you showing on the property. So many things goes into it. I would say better ask an accountant. If you don't have one, better hire one, because especially for investing, accountant plays a major role. You need to know which one is your expense, which one is offset your income. So do you mean we should look for an independent mortgage broker than reaching out for? Yes, that's right, Sai. I would 100% recommend reaching out to a broker, because now you're going to every lender trying to get their credit check, and doing 50 credit checks, 15 credit checks, or 10 credit checks. Not good for that many credit checks at one certain time period. So better go talk to one mortgage broker who will again see who is good one in your city. Talk to one person. They will be able to help you to give you which lender can give you a better price and better terms according to your profile. So they know better than one specific bank, because if you're going for one specific bank, the bank can only give their own products, because they cannot bring the products from other bank, right? So every bank, every lender has different terms, different advantages, different disadvantages. So if you're working with a mortgage broker, they might be able to explain you if they're a good one. So make sure you ask them. Hey Azark. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I think I covered most of the questions. Let me just quick question about house market. But do you think we need to stop EI Ron brainwashing powerful people to doing unspeakable things from behind the grave? Brother, I don't know what you're asking. Do you think we need to stop EI Ron brainwashing powerful people to doing? No idea what you're asking. Honestly, did not really get your question. I don't think I don't think I can answer on that part. All I am doing is giving my opinion on how the market behaves and what I feel is good for what I feel to do better for personal opinion. personal finances. So if you like it, take it. If you don't like it, okay. Would you recommend me hiring a home inspector even buying a new construction home, or hire only when I purchase the second? Even hiring, I would strongly recommend even do hire inspector even for new construction, because I have seen new constructions, some builders do a crappy job. So you better do. It's probably like 300 or 350 $50. Look at this way, your return on investments, right? So you're buying freaking 500,000 property. If you don't invest $300, what if there is some issue that you as a normal person could not see it, but if he found it, he saved you 10-20,000 bucks. So invest that 300 or $350. It's for your peace of mind. And of course, I'm not getting affiliated to suggest you that, but personally I experienced, because on my sixth property I was too overconfident, and I purchased the property. I just looked through it and I just purchased it, and I learned a brand new thing, which is like, this property has a septic. I didn't know that even in Canada there are septic tanks, and freaking it cost me, like literally as soon as I purchased, within 3 months I spent close to 10,000 fixing that issue. If I would have known about it, if I would have hired inspector, maybe he would have told me. So brother, I know when you're paying that $300, maybe you feel like is it worth it, but trust me, so far other than that property, I did inspection for every property, and at least even if they don't find anything, I know what my property condition is. I know what are good, what are bad. So trust me, you're gonna thank me later if you do that. Invest it. How difficult is the refinance process, and how long do you need to maintain the house before doing it? Jamie, good question. There is no specific requirements for refinancing process. Like there is no any set guidelines saying that you cannot refinance the property in 5 months or 6 months or 10 months. I refinanced one property actually within 3 months after I purchased, and I refinanced after 2 years. So it really depends on how much equity you have in your property. If your property has enough equity to do the refinance, and the lender, what you need to look for is like, if you have enough equity, you can refinance and pull it. But what I would recommend, be cautious about is, first of all, how much penalty do you have to pay for the existing lender, existing bank or a mortgage, whoever holds your mortgage, how much penalty do you have to pay if you refinance? Some lenders don't charge any penalty if you are with them. Like for example, if I have a property with RBC and I asked RBC, hey, can I refinance this property? Sometimes they do without any penalty. So check with the existing mortgage lender, whoever you have your mortgage with. See how much is your penalty, what are the extra costs, and what's your interest at that point, and what's your interest, like how much difference is your property mortgage payment will be. So just better check with the lender. Sai, good question. I know, for when you're new, you don't know that term. So simple refinance means, now you're purchasing a property, right? So that means you're putting some money and you're asking bank to give you extra money. So this extra money is the mortgage and your money is the down payment. Now in your property, you have your down payment is your equity when you buy. Now after 2 years or 3 years, if your property you purchase for 500, your property price became 700. So now your mortgage still 400,000. You have 300,000 equity in your property, but you cannot do anything with it. So now you go talk to the bank and ask them to put a new mortgage for the new value of the property, which means 700,000. Now they give you 80% loan to value for 700,000, that means your mortgage amount will increase. So now whatever the old mortgage, you pay that, and extra money you will put it in your pocket, or you can put it in a line of secure line of credit. So that is useful for buying more properties or investing, but don't buy expensive stuff. Hope it makes sense to you. Is it better to get interest only mortgage if you're going to keep the house for a couple of years so you can have more money up front? I mean, it really depends on. Interest only mortgages are very rare, especially if it's a traditional conventional mortgage. But if it's a private mortgage, obviously go for interest only, because now you can refinance. Again, okay, let me take a step back because it's hard to answer this question. Interest only, first of all, for someone who doesn't know what's interest only, now conventional mortgage always have interest plus principal amount. So your whatever the monthly payment you're paying, it has both your principal amount and the interest. So you're paying every month principal and the interest. But when it's interest only, you're only paying the interest for every month. That means your principal, if your mortgage is 400,000 at the beginning, it will stay the same 400,000 at the end whenever you want to get out, but you paid interest all these periods. So the good thing is you don't have compound interest because you have the same principal amount. So basically, if you want to have a short-term mortgage, your best bet is to have some variable terms, like see which look for your term. First of all, if it's 6 months term or 1 year term or 2 years term, look for the shorter term. And second, look for variable, because variables will have less penalty when you get out, which most likely most of the lenders have 3 months interest only. Whereas fixed, it's like interest rate differential or 3 months interest, whichever is the higher. So check with your mortgage broker which penalty will cost you less, like, especially if you're gonna have it only for short term, just look for, especially if you want to refinance after 1 year or 2 years, better go for like variable. That way you can save on the penalty. But again, better ask the mortgage broker for detailed question. Guys, I know it's a fantastic discussion. I know so many questions. Thank you so much for hopping on. I'm slowly getting to a position where I have to get out and do some running and have a dinner. It's too late. I want to be a real estate broker. What should I do? I'm gonna answer in next live session. So from here on, I'm gonna hop on every Wednesday, and I also, after I post this video, I'll try to answer the remaining comments later in the tomorrow. So feel free to hop your questions in the comments, but I'll stop it here. It's just already past 1 hour. So see you guys in the next session, next Wednesday around the same time, 8 p.m. Come with your questions and let me know if you have any specific topics that you want me to discuss on, other than the topics that I come up with. So thank you so much again. Have a wonderful evening.